Infrastructure serves as the backbone of any thriving nation, providing essential framework for economic growth. But unfortunately, vandalism on public assets has been on the rise in recent times, as vandals continue to wreak havoc on different infrastructure across the country, not sparing assets like the Second Niger Bridge to railway tracks and even power cables, road railings, street lights, manholes, covers, and other public assets. Vandalism of national infrastructure has become a rampant phenomenon, bringing about huge consequential sabotage across the country. No doubt, the spate of vandalism on public infrastructure poses a devastating effect on the economy and the lives of the people, as these vandals continue to shortchange government's efforts in building a prosperous nation for all. Experts are of the opinion that the Unpatriotic Act is disrupting opportunities for citizens to enjoy the dividends of democracy, and on the other hand, discourages investments in modern infrastructure that a nation like Nigeria needs. Just recently, we saw the viral video on vandalism of manholes cover in the Federal Capital Territory, while other parts of the country are not left out. There are root causes, just as there are consequences. But what are the solutions and recommendations going forward? Tonight, at Weekend File, we will be looking at ways of combating vandalism of public infrastructure. Our guest is Engineer Kashim Ali, former president of Nigerian Society of Engineers and Koren. We'll bring you situation reports from across the country. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Weekend File. I'm Ruth Aguela. First, let's begin with the news. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has departed Abuja for the United Arab Emirates to participate in the 2025 edition of Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week. The presidential airplane took off at about 6:30 this Saturday evening. In a statement by the Presidential Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, stated that President of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, invited President Tinubu to attend the summit scheduled to take place in the Emirate from January 12 to 18. The summit is expected to bring together global leaders to accelerate sustainable development and advance socio-economic progress. The event, under the theme, The Nexus of Next, Supercharging Sustainable Progress, is to enable policymakers, business and civil society leaders to explore pathways to fast-track the transformation to a sustainable economy and evolve a new era of prosperity for all. The presidential advisor also revealed that at the event, President Tinubu will present his administration's reforms, including those related to energy sufficiency, transportation, public health and economic development. The Nigerian leader and his entourage will also meet with the Emirates leadership to discuss issues of interest affecting the two nations. He is scheduled to return to Nigeria on Thursday, January 16. In other news, Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, was at the National Assembly to defend the ministry's 2025 budget proposal. He said the ministry in 2024 tripled its projected revenue from 11 billion to more than 37 billion naira. Now, this information prompted the committee to support increased allocation to the sector to further tap its potential. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The need to diversify the economy of Nigeria away from fossil fuel. The whole world is transiting from fossil fuel to green energy. And the ingredients of green energy are the minerals and the critical metals that we have. So creating this ministry was to harness the potentials of this sector for the benefit of Nigerians From ocular proofs and visibility of actions from the ministry, we have not been sleeping.
No doubt, the vision of the administration of President Bola Tinubu for the solid mineral sector is yielding desired outcomes. After the minister reeled out the achievements of the sector in the last 1 year, the lawmakers insist that government should leverage on its potentials to grow the economy.
We've all agreed that data is important. How do we drive exploration with 9 billion? The time has come more than ever where you have to start taking bold steps, and those bold steps must start with this sector.
At another budget defense session with the Minister of Trade and Investments, Jumoke Oduole, the Joint Committee wants federal governments to channel more efforts to expand trade relations and improve investments to drive job creation.
The projection of 2.4 billion is abysmally low. It is very, very low. What you need to do is to look at your revenue lines and see those that you can grow.
We'll ensure that the ministry is enabled to play its vital role in facilitating the ease of doing business through enhancing productivity and competitiveness. This ministry remains committed to achieving its vision of promoting economic growth, creating jobs, and generating wealth for all Nigerians.
Harness the nation's resources for socio-economic development of the country through equitable allocation of funds in line with the fiscal policies of the federal government to meet the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians.
The ministry was, however, asked to submit more documents to the Joint Committee for further scrutiny. From the National Assembly, Ami Ali, NTA News.
The federal government and Borno state government have expressed readiness to collaborate and strengthen the livestock sector for the benefit of the country. This was during the official inauguration of Ngaranam Ruga Ranchan settlement in Mafa local government, Borno state, performed by the Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Meha, supported by Governor Babagana Umar Zulum. Mohammed Goni reports.
Here in India, I got a house, 2 cows and 3 goats for my wife, in addition to other household needs.
Musa Chana is a pastoralist used to moving with his heart in search of pasture, facing lots of challenges in the process. Chana and 636 others from 18 different displaced hamlets, beneficiaries of the Ruga settlement who lost their means of livelihoods, can now heap a sigh of relief as the ranch comprises all that it takes to provide a conducive environment for the herders and their cattle. The completed Ngaranam Ruga settlement is one of the 3 established in Borno State, with 2 others sited at Rimirgo in Askira Oba and Gubio local government areas, now at different stages of completion. The over 401 houses settlement ranch has grazing areas, veterinary clinic, which will subsequently be upgraded to serve as a referral center, also has fattening sheds, milk processor, among other selling points. Borno State Governor Babagana Umar Zulum and the Minister of Livestock Development Idi Maiha and that of Agriculture and Food Security, represented by the Permanent Secretary, spoke on the initiative.
I call upon the multinational commercial livestock investors to join us in this transformative mission. Borno State, blessed with vast grazing reserves and fertile land resources, offers a unique opportunity, livestock growth and productivity improvement in Nigeria.
This project aligns with the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and the broader vision of the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development, who was recently established.
This program also exemplifies the vision of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security to create modern, climate-resilient crop and livestock and fish farm settlements across the country.
Professor Atahiru Jega is the chairman, Presidential Livestock Reform Implementation Committee.
Regrettably, over the years, perhaps since the 1980s, we have underinvested in extension work generally in our country. Certainly, most especially in the livestock sector. So it's very, very important that federal, in partnership with subnationals, again improves investment in this issue of extension work.
Borno State Deputy Governor Umar Usman Kadafur is the overseeing commissioner for Ministry of Livestock Development.
This settlement symbolizes our commitment to sustainable development, peaceful coexistence,
and economic empowerment for our people.
There were goodwill messages by the Director, Animal Husbandry, Federal Ministry of Livestock Development, National President Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association, among others, declaring support to the Ruga initiative. The occasion also featured formal launching of the 2025 National Livestock Vaccination Campaign by the Minister of Livestock Development and co-chairman, Presidential Livestock Reform Implementation Committee, Professor Atahiru Jega.
Ruga ranching settlement such as the one just inaugurated in Garannam, Mapa local government. Security issues such as farmers' headers clash and cattle wrestling will soon come to an end in Nigeria. From Garannam in Mapa local government, Mohamed Goni, NTA News.
In other news, the leadership of Booth to Booth, a support group under the ruling All Progressives Congress, is urging Nigerians to be patient with the present administration, as steps are being taken to address the prevailing economic hardship across the country. The leadership gave these indications while distributing palliatives to APC members in Indemili South local government area of Anambra State. Steve Lonai Wakulu reports.
The group, while acknowledging the hardship being faced by Nigerians, expresses optimism that the present administration has the capacity to turn the situation around for the better. According to the organization, the government is working assiduously to ensure that the burden of reforms being implemented does not affect the poor and vulnerable. The group insists that what the government needs at this critical time is patience and cooperation of all.
Our own is to contribute and to tell our people to keep faith with Mr. President as he navigates the ship towards the promised land for all Nigerians.
What I'm trying to say for me to tell my people from Idemili South, Anambra State, for them to give Mr. President time.
Our President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is doing is so fantastic. This parity will go a lot for the masses.
The organization is currently distributing palliatives to APC members in the 774 local government areas in Nigeria. The initiative, it says, is aimed at strengthening the president's support base across the country. From Nobi, in the Indemili South local government area of Anambra State, Steve Lonai Nwaokolo, NTA.
The Federal Republic of Nigeria congratulates Joseph Aoun following his election as President of the Republic of Lebanon. The president secured 99 votes from the 128-seat parliament to win the presidency, thereby breaking a deadlock that has left the country without a head of state since October 2022. A statement by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says Nigeria looks forward to further strengthen the historic and strong relationship between both countries for the benefit of the people. The Apex Igbo Socio-Cultural Organization, Ohaneze Ndibo Worldwide, has inaugurated a new executive council to officiate activities of the group, as well as enhance growth and unity in the Southeast region. Chika Ugo reports that Senator John Azuta Mbata from Rivers State emerged president of the group after a peaceful election.
The election attracted notable personalities from Igbo land, including Southeast governors and top government officials, with one goal of electing eligible ESCO to pilot the affairs of the group and advocate a prosperous region. In his speech, Governor Peter Mba described unity as a formidable force that fuels peace and progress, hence the need for the Igbos to speak with one voice, irrespective of party affiliation.
It is in our collective interest to work together. That goal is not a mere wish, but we must do that through our actions.
On behalf of the governors, I want to thank the outgoing executives for their job well done, while urging the incoming to also follow their footsteps and improve on what the outgoing has done.
The people are hopeful that with the new executive, the Igbo culture will be upheld and the dream of the founding fathers to achieve progress realized. In Enugu, Chika Ugu, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu rejoices with Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa of Ondo State on his 60th birthday. In a statement by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, he commends the governor for his unwavering dedication and political consistency, which led to his becoming the Ondo State governor. The president offers prayers for the Almighty God's blessings, wishing him good health, wisdom, and long life. In other news, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has described the death of the eldest son of Jigawa State Governor Abdulwahab Umar Namadi, coming shortly after the passing of the governor's mother, as a difficult test of faith. She was speaking during a condolence visit to the state governor, Malam Umar Namadi, at the government house in Dutse. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports.
Braving the extreme weather, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu is in the state to condole with the governor, Malam Umar Namadi, and his family over their losses. The mood at the state government house, Dutse, where she was received by the governor and his wife, Hadiza Namadi, was sober, the loss weighing so heavy. So, the First Lady offered words of comfort on behalf of herself and the President, sending her condolences to the government and people of the state at the council chamber. The First Lady highlights the need for the grieving family to surrender to the will of God.
Anytime you can call any of us home, and I believe that we say, oh, we want to live long, but God is the only one that assigned time to each and every one of us. And we believe that is Abdul Wahab's time. And we pray that God will comfort the mother, comfort the father as well, His Excellency.
Nothing happens without the knowledge and will of God, says the governor, as he appreciates the comfort offered his family by the visit of the First Lady.
You and Mr. President have done everything possible to comfort us. And I want to assure you that what you have done has really strengthened us, has given us more courage and more comfort. Like you said, what happens to us is an act of God, and nobody will question God.
Wife of the Vice President, Hajia Nana Shitima, offered a special prayer to God to grant the souls of the departed Aljana Fridaus and comfort to their grieving family. From Dutse, Jigawa State, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be discussing ways of combating vandalism of public infrastructure. You don't want to miss that. Stay tuned. Glad to have you. Stay tuned. And before we delve into the conversation, talking about combating vandalism of public infrastructure, here's a situation report. Well, it's a phenomenon that keeps crushing the building block of our national economy, leaving millions of citizens in precarious situations. Vandalism is becoming even bolder, creeping into big cities. Abdullahi Mohammed examines the trend for Weekend Vow.
National it is, in the middle of the city of Abuja. Vandals having their day.
So whenever we come to the place,
the manhole covers, concoction of huge metal, on scale, a measure high in the bank accounts of the criminals. The consequences, tragic to motorists. But for the men in charge of security, the days of these criminals are few.
There have been a lot of time where we've had a lot of recidivists, where people that we have arrested before, arresting them over time, over and over again. It's because the penalties are not stringent enough.
And within a short period, an order from above for all the missing manholes to be replaced.
In order to save lives and property, particularly vehicles that ply this road, the minister directed, when the report got to him, that we immediately replace the ones that have been stolen. In this stretch alone, in this area, we have about 13 that were taken out. And because of the nature of our design, infrastructural design, we have them in the middle of the road. There are sewer lines and some are stormwater lines. They are load bearing because they take the vehicular load, so they are specially made for that purpose. So replacing them, it takes time, it takes quite a deal of effort.
The installation of CCTV cameras in big cities across the world has helped reduce the incidences of crime, including vandalism. If you come across a CCTV camera in the city of Abuja, the probability that that camera is non-functional is on the high side. The cameras are the most reliable means of tackling crimes in cities across the world. And it's high time Abuja and other cities across Nigeria gets their cameras up and running. Abdullah Mohammed, NTA News.
Well, swift prosecution and administration of stiffer penalties for perpetrators who vandalize national infrastructure. Experts say will go a long way in stemming the criminal act. Well, that's what our reporter Bolaji Akim sampled from some stakeholders. Let's see that.
The rising cases of vandalization of public infrastructure is a social and economic menace that needs to be tackled. There is no sector of the country that its infrastructure has not been intentionally damaged by vandals.
The benefit at the essence of providing this public infrastructure is to aid economic growth. And when they are not there, it creates a big setback across board. So you can imagine government providing aid facility and people go ahead to cut away with the drugs, destroy the hospital.
In Lagos, southwest Nigeria, the situation is not different. Some of the infrastructural amenities provided by the government for the benefits of the citizens are not spared by the same group of people termed vandals.
People have to see this infrastructure as their own. You know, instead they think it's government's own, and then they could vandalize it.
Anybody who dedicates or yields or submits self to the act of vandalization is also signing self on to the possibility of spending a major lifetime in the prison.
On its part, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps NSCDC, Lagos State Command, says the synergy between security agencies in the state is yielding the needed results.
Critical national assets and infrastructure is so large. You talk about telecommunications, power installations, railway, oil pipeline, gas pipelines, and the rest of that. In 2025, we are not resting on our oars as a paramilitary organization. We are projecting forward to ensure that in all of these areas which I have mentioned and many more, we ensure absolute security.
Stakeholders are of the opinion that the fight against vandalization of critical public infrastructure should be a collective one, just like the consequences of vandalization. In Lagos, Bolaji Akim, NTA News.
All right, let's bring in our guests. We have in the studio engineer Kashim Ali. He is the former president, Nigerian Society of Engineers, and also former president, Koren. Thank you so much for joining us, Engineer Ali.
Thank you very much.
All right, you've seen the reports, and I'm sure you've been following developments. Vandalism of public assets is not new in Nigeria, and it's just really appalling to see that what is meant for the good of the nation is what has been stolen. What do you make of that?
Well, it's a social problem all over the world, really. But of course, we have to face our own. Because it's interesting to know that even in the so-called developed world, we have vandalism. Reading some times ago when they vandalized a rail line between Frankfurt and Stuttgart in Germany. And then they had to delay traffic for almost a day. So it does happen, but there has to be a way of curtailing it. And we can deal with this thing in our own case from different angles, providing technical solution, providing physical security and social security. What do I mean? I know that, let me start with the issue of social security. People sometimes disentangle themselves from government. Sometimes some citizens behave as if things owned by government are owned, that there's one person called government who owns some of these things, while they as citizens are on the other side. But truth is, who is government? Every one of us is government. So we should also take responsibility for some of these things. I know that I have seen, for instance, one vandalism that took place at the place that there are 2 security gates opposite. And I was wondering, if you are a security man at those gates, how could this happen and none of them raised an alarm? There was no answer. All of them claimed they did not know when it happened. From my heart of heart, I knew that they knew when it happened, but they didn't feel committed. My job is to maintain security at this gate, and anything outside this gate is not my business. So that is the attitude. So we must change our orientation. We have to provide social security for this. For physical security, of course, some of the people they address, and even the Abdullah Mohammed talked about having cameras.
Yes.
Every modern city has cameras, and I do know that at one time I had the privilege of serving in the FCT, and we worked on having cameras all over the town. Unfortunately, while we're looking at it from the technical perspective, the police said it was their business. So that project was handed over to the police, and the result is what we have now. I'm sure if the project was not handed to the police and it was done purely on technical basis, we would have cameras running. In other places, it's not enough for people to install cameras. People are compelled to install cameras in their houses. You have cameras showing the roads and infrastructure around your house so that in the event of auditing, when maybe there's a theft, they can even come to people's houses and also use your own cameras to add to the police will come, look at the public camera, look at where the person moved to. Why we moved into an alley and the camera could not capture him. They will look for individuals who have cameras who capture such people.
Yeah, but Engineer Ali, I'm sure you're talking about enhanced monitoring and surveillance. You know, CCTV helps. But again, we've seen this CCTV camera has been vandalized. So, you know. Okay, so what about a coordinated strategy among the security operatives? You talked about an experience where 2 security posts were close to an asset that was vandalized. What do you make of that? Are we having enough? We're seeing arrests being made, yes, but is that enough?
No, what happens is, and again, I'll take it out of my personal experience, when we had vandalism of water pipelines. People were vandalizing lines to take water to create private car washes, and some were even selling water. And they used to do this late at night. Now, what we did was to create a team, a task force of young people who were active, I knew were not sleeping at night. They used to go to clubs and everything. I said, okay, in addition to going to your club, could you help us monitor some of these things? So while going to the club or going back, pass through this plan. And that brought a lot of results. We were able to determine who were the people causing these problems at night. And it included a lot of some military people and police. And we had to, all got set and punished, and that stopped the vandalism. So point here is, even the security agencies have to be motivated. Truth is, why some of them refuse to act when they see these things, because they're already having their challenges, and they just don't want to add anything onto it. But if there's an arrangement where government say, okay, look, let's have police, military, create a team that will be responsible for monitoring and decisively dealing with issues like this, it will happen. It's not a rocket science, because the truth is, these things are taken, especially the manhole covers that are taken. There's nobody, those who take them have no need for them, truly. There are people who are waiting at the other end to buy them from them and use them for whatever they want to use them for. So if you have the security tasked with monitoring and implementing the decision to arrest all those people, they will do it. They will schedule their program, and they'll be available at night at all times and be able to arrest these things. Okay. And the point is, once you do a major arrest of these people, this thing will stop. It's because nobody does anything to them that they are doing what they are doing.
Well, Engineer Ali, I'm sure you're aware that the NSCDC has a vandalism department, in charge for issues like this. Notwithstanding, it's not only the manholes we've seen being vandalized, even rail tracks, the equipments there are being uprooted, and also street lights being vandalized and all of that. Now, the question is intelligence gathering, working with community people to have their own involvement to ensure that they also play a role. Okay, so Engineer Ali, I've just been informed that we have to take a break. So just ponder on that question I asked. When we come back, we'll pick up with the conversation. Please stay tuned. All right, good to have you back. Before Engineer Ali picks up with his response, we want to show you what's happening in Benin. The alarming disappearance of manhole covers in major roads in the city is posing serious threats to motorists and other road users. Let's see that.
Removal of manhole covers, which has been on the rise across the nation, is also a menace in Benin City, where a lot of manhole covers are vanishing.
I think it's not really proper. I don't know who is really doing it, or whether people are the ones sponsoring it. I don't really know. But I think it's unhealthy because it's causing dangers to human health. If it rains now, you're even going to be a big problem.
Not be only here. If you go different junctions, the same thing. If you go second now, the same thing. If you go Aduawa, the same thing. If you go permission, the same thing. Most places are Benin, so that they remove them. So to me, it's very bad.
People still fall inside. You understand? There's a car that even break down. It was there yesterday. It spoiled the marker badly.
The question on everyone's lips is, who are the perpetrators of this criminal act? While others are pointing accusing fingers at scrap collectors, others are calling on the state government to put an end to this and make the road safe again.
We don't know who is responsible because when we all close for job, our work, we go home.
Maybe now some of those ones they push all those trucks. Most of the night they mostly carry these things come out.
Now the insecurity, when no day well, if vigilante day to monitor all these things for night, because at night I believe most of these people they come and come to uproot these things, not be daytime.
Efforts to know the stance of the State Ministry of Works over the alarming removal of manhole covers didn't yield results. In Benin, Victor Odwala, NTA News.
All right, Engineer Kashim, I'm sure you're ready to respond to what I asked before we took the break, talking about improved intelligence gathering, involving communities to take responsibility to protect these assets.
Yes, community can take responsibility if they are mobilized. But even the security agencies, it's not like the one in the cities, for instance. It's not something that's outside their control. But what happens, you could have a department of vandalism in NCDC. Yeah. It may not be funded. You may not have vehicles. You may not have cameras, because if you have to arrest people and prosecute them, often you need cameras to take pictures of them so that you can prove that indeed you caught them in action. All those things, they may not have. They may not have even funding for their vehicles, for fueling and everything. So if logistic support is provided to them, I can assure you that this will be dealt with. And I see this as a syndicate. I think all this collection, they are going to either one location or some locations that are linked together. Some people are using this metal that are stolen for something else. And because of that, they are paying people, engaging people who have of low esteem to do this job for them. Normally, you talked about the camera also, the cameras being vandalized. Of course, thieves normally don't like to be seen. Thieves don't like cameras, they don't like light. So if you don't have, on the street, for instance, if you don't have electricity also, it creates a problem. So if you look at, there's a careful study of what has happened in Abuja, let me use Abuja as a case study, you see that the places that have done, on days that have done this thing, there was no electricity. Okay. Or if there was electricity, the street lamps were not working. And there are quite a number of street lamps that are not working in Abuja right now. You see on a street, maybe there are about 100 street lamps, and maybe 25 of them are not working. The gaps in between, there has to be readiness of the authority to light up all the streets. Whenever the streets lamps are off, they should be lighted up. And people should be also, the officials should be responsive, and they should have the resources for doing that. Once that is there, those are the first thing they need to do. That's what I was going to at that time when I was talking about compartmentalizing the issue, how to deal with them.
Okay, but as an engineer, would you say there are alternative materials that could be used, something more resilient and sustainable that would not be easy for these vandals to approach, not just for manholes now or the infrastructure?
The truth is, for everything, there are alternatives, but you have to do a cost-benefit analysis of what you want to do as an engineer, for instance. If the cost economy is not good, you won't engage in it. Of course, they can make composite materials that could be used. I think there's something that FCDA engineers are doing now. They have done some research in collaboration with some people to make some composite material that when you burn them, they turn to ashes. So that when you steal these manhole covers, they will become useless to you. In good time, those who are taking them will realize that they have no value to them and they could stop. But the truth is, must we always design things to, cater for the excessive behavior of some individuals? Why can't we just, how many of them? Why should we always spend so much money doing research, doing things just to make life, why not just engage in doing things that will make life comfortable for the majority? Why are we doing everything different to make life uncomfortable for the diligent, dissident? Even in transformers, the transformers these days, a lot of them are modular, and they are put at street intersections, and they look beautiful. They contribute beauty to the road architecture. Some people decided to go and open these computers and to steal some parts of it. For that, now we have heavy concrete at the doors of the what did I call? Not computers. I'm talking about transformers. So you have heavy concrete now being put at the doors of the transformers. In the event of any problem, for any small problem to be solved on your transformer, they have to bring a crane to move such concrete before they can. That's why sometimes these people have complaints. They say, oh, their light has tripped up. To just reconnect, a crane is needed. And when they cannot get the crane, the problem will persist for a long time. So I think it's just, we just have to get serious. Okay. And believe you me, I don't think we need to go to doing all this for this. Equip NCDNC, give them logistics support. Give them a target that from now till the next 2 months, we don't want any vandalism. I'm sure they can do that.
Engineer Ali, while that will be in place, we're hoping, what about campaign? When you were talking about why won't people just, adhere and just allow the things that are meant for the good of the people, I was just thinking in my head, I wish these vandals would adhere to your plea. But again, citizens' reorientation, the campaign has to be intensified. Don't you think so?
Yeah, no, the campaign must be there. That's why that's the social security point of view. But again, these issues can be dealt with physically and technically, and we should focus on that. Because for a nation, we can't just begin to use those miscreants as the basis of our survival. We must find a way of dealing with them. We cannot give them the opportunity to just run us down, do things as they like, as if we are in a country without governance. These things are not difficult. And I've told you, I had an issue. I'm sorry I have to make reference to that because you have to use what you have to give your story. We had issues like this of vandalism of our pipelines. And we said, I said, I'm not going to give in to these people. I'm not going to even negotiate with them. We'll go after them. And we used it. We used the LCDC that time. And we used our young people who were clubbing. Let's do it. All of us, we had a communication system. Just call me. My phone was open 24 hours. Just call me. Even 12 midnight, 2 a.m., you call. We'll go. All of us will go there and deal with it. We dealt with it. People stopped tampering with our line. The water hydrants were always destroyed because people were taking water. And some people, important people, even people with commission, were decommissioned on the basis of the water hydrant destruction. We found that the people who were doing it, some of them were doing it purely for money. So you can imagine an officer will go and stay at the fire hydrant, and people will come there at night, at a particular time at night, to come and load water. Then it was every tanker load was 10,000, and it could load as much as 20 at night.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, criminals are criminals. Let's not succumb to them. Let's not do things because we want to see how we can prevent them to do it. Let's deal with them.
All right.
Let's deal with them, and we have the capacity to do them, both technically and physically.
Indeed, we will not be at their mercy, and it requires a collective approach. We will have a role to play. Thank you so much, Engineer Kashim Ali. He's the former president of Nigerian Society of Engineers and also former president Koren. Thank you for your time on Weekend File.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be back. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned. News from the global scene says the largest of the region wildfires that have devastated parts of Los Angeles this week was reported to have shifted direction this Saturday, triggering more evacuation orders and posing a new challenge to exhausted firefighters. Justin Bem Unyi will tell us more.
6 simultaneous blazes that have ripped across Los Angeles County neighborhoods since Tuesday have killed at least 11 people and damaged or destroyed 10,000 structures. The toll is expected to mount when firefighters are able to conduct house-to-house searches. The fierce Santa Ana winds that fanned the infernos eased on Friday night, but the Palisades fire on the city's western edge was heading in a new direction, prompting another evacuation order as it edged towards the Brentwood neighborhood and the San Fernando Valley foothills, the Los Angeles Times reported. The fire, the most destructive in the history of Los Angeles, has razed whole neighborhoods to the ground, leaving just the smoldering ruins of what had been people's homes and possessions. In other news, the foreign ministers of Egypt, Somalia and Eritrea say the security of the Red Sea is limited only to the countries bordering the coast, in a veiled reference to landlocked Ethiopia. In a joint press conference in Cairo, Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati read out a joint statement from him, his Somalian counterpart Ahmed Mualim Feki, and Eritrea's Foreign Minister Osman Saleh. Somalia's president is set to visit Ethiopia as the two countries look to build on a recent peace deal that aims to diffuse mounting tensions in the Horn of Africa. Landlocked Ethiopia's desire for access to the sea has deepened long-standing grievances with its neighbors in the volatile region. Justin Bem-Unyi, NTA News.
All right, sports update is next, and Ayo Deji Makinde is already standing by. Ayo, what's the latest from the world of sport?
Quite a handful, Ruth, but let's begin with table tennis, where Aruna Quadri's hopes of starting 2025 with a trophy were halted in the quarterfinal of the WTT Doha contender. The 36-year-old who beat Britain's Liam Pritchard was eliminated in the semi-finals by Japan's Tomokazu Harimoto in straight sets of 11-9, 11-3 and 11-5. Let's go on to football and tell you that all is now set for the Group D encounter between Egyptian side Al Masry and Eyimba of Abba in the CAF Confederation Cup at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo on Sunday. The management of the People's Elephants discarded claims of maltreatment by the Egyptian side since arriving in Nigeria, stating that they have been accorded warm reception than what was encountered in the reverse fixture. Eyimba lost the first leg 2-0 and have since bolstered the attack line with the signing of experienced forward Brown Ideye. Away from Nigeria, Scotsman David Moyes has described his reappointment as Everton manager as a homecoming after he left the club for Manchester United in the summer of 2013. The Toffees confirmed the return of the 61-year-old following the sack of Sean Dyche. The ex-Burnley boss was relieved of his duties earlier this week after a 2-year stay with the Liverpool-based club. Moyes rejoins Everton with the club in the 16th position in the English Premier League. Away from football, Madison Keys fought through a leg injury to beat Jessica Pegula 6-3, 4-6, 6-1 in an All-American Adelaide International final, continuing a good form heading into the Australian Open, which serves off on Sunday. Keys, who also won the Adelaide title in 2022 and made the quarterfinals in Auckland last week, sent down 10 aces and fired off 26 winners as she took an hour and 43 minutes to beat the world number 7 Pegula. The title was also the 9th of Keys' career and set her up perfectly for a first-round meeting with American Lee Nard Melbourne and Lee at the Melbourne Park on Tuesday. Let's also tell you that Gael Monfils made history by becoming the oldest winner of an ATP Tour singles title with victory at the ASB Classic in Auckland. Monfils beat Belgium's Zizou Berg 6-3, 6-4 in the final to claim his 13th tour-level title. At 38 years and 4 months old, Monfils has become the oldest singles champion since the ATP Tour was formed in 1990. And that's sports. It's back to Ruth.
Thank you so much, Ayo. And it's time to go home, right? All right. And that's Weekend File. From all of us, it's good night. I'm Ruth Aguilera. Bye.